Update. My 27 female fiancé, 27 male secretly went to Paris to see a female friend. Original post. Fake names throwaway because my fiancé is a big Reddit user. My 27 female fiancé Eric, 27 male, has a friend Jane, 20s female, who lives in Paris, France. She had moved by the time that we were introducing each other to her friends, so we've only met over video chat. Me and Eric have been together for a year and a half, and before we got together, he and Jane were involved. He told me it ended badly, but they did get over it. I don't know exactly what happened. I never asked. She is really important to him. They do talk once or twice a month over text or video chat, and I know that they have a lot in common. I don't know Jane's situation, but Eric's parents were abusive, and I've pieced together that Jane's were as well. I've never gotten the impression that either one wants to get back to how it was, and he's never given me a reason to be insecure until now. He asked me to marry him 3 weeks ago, and I said yes. I was really excited to marry him, but then suddenly a few days ago, he announced that he needed to go visit family, which was weird because he cut his family off several years ago. He has expressed to me that he has no interest in seeing them again. He said that it was an important family emergency and then just left. He kept me updated and we talked a few times on the phone. He told me that his mom was having health issues. I had no reason to be suspicious. Edit. I'm reading over that and it sounds weird, but he's always been very touchy when it comes to talking about his family, and I didn't want to push it. And then a couple hours ago, I get a message from Jane asking if Eric was okay. I said that he was visiting family, so he was probably just a bit stressed out, which is why he hasn't been responding to her messages. She then informed me that he is in Paris with her and snuck a photo of him in her apartment. I haven't replied to her yet. I'm freaking out. I have no idea what to do. He just got on a plane to fly for 12 hours to see her without telling me, presumably last minute. Why is he there? Do I talk to him? Has anyone else been in this kind of situation before? Well, obviously he lied to you, sweetheart, so you're going to need to reevaluate everything regarding your relationship with him. Obviously, there's a breach of trust there, so best of luck to you, OP. Now for the comments before reading the update. Did you ask her for more details on why she asked if he was okay? Unfortunately, he lied to you. He fabricated a story. He runs off to see her. Did he have second thoughts and wants to see if she still wants to try with him? I haven't replied to her yet since she sent me the photo. The first message was, "Hey, my name is Eric okay? He's acting a little strange," which I assumed referred to him not responding. When she told me that he was in Paris, she wrote, he's here, and just sent the picture. Send him the photo and ask him why is he in Paris. I'm guessing he is visiting her for a final attempt at a relationship before he settles with you, to see if she is his love who got away. She knows this, and that is just why she messaged you. If she was worried about him, he is literally with her, so she could ask him. Oh boy, this is an issue. I can't imagine the panic you must be feeling. First of all, Jane is with Eric. Why would she message you asking if he was okay if he was right next to her? Girl, that's weird. There's no reason to ask that when he's with her. He lied. That's all there really needs to be said here. What possible reason could he have to lie unless he was trying to hide something? Just me, but I'd be shipping his things to Paris so he could live with her. No reason to lie to your fiancé when you're planning on having a future with them. I don't want to jump to cheating, but what other reason could he have to be there? Now for the update. Update. Thank you all for the comments and advice. I read every single one and I appreciate all the advice. I'm sorry for the late update, but I'm extremely tired and haven't really sat down in a week and a half. To just get to the point, I left him. A lot of people were concerned that he'd find the post, but I did change a lot of details. The main issue remains the same. Jane lives in a foreign country at least 12 hours away, and he decided to go to her without telling me. I also did see some comments discussing the age gap between Eric and Jane. Jane is in her late 20s. I said 20s because I wasn't sure at the time how old she was. After I posted and the comments started rolling in, I had to shut my phone off. There were so many people saying that Eric wanted to be with Jane, that he wasn't over her, and I started having a panic attack. I'm not an insecure person usually, and Eric had given me absolutely no reason to be, but this whole thing I felt very stupid and like I'd been blind. He was always very open about his friendship with Jane and how much she meant to him, but there was absolutely nothing that made me think he still had feelings for her. Honestly, even if he told me that he wanted to visit her without me, I probably would have said that was fine as long as I got to go on my own vacation. Anyway, I got Jane on the phone the next day. Her story is that he just showed up at her door, claiming that he missed her and that he just needed to get away. She provided proof that she had no idea he was coming, and I have no reason to not believe her when she tells me nothing happened. I think she was angrier than I was. At the time, she figured that something really bad must have happened, either with me or with his family. She knew from past experiences it was just better to let him talk when he was ready rather than pushing it. She gave it 2 days during which he was behaving very impulsively, kept spacing out, and he brought up their past multiple times. They hadn't seriously spoken about it since it ended years ago. He's usually the calmer, more level-headed of the two of them, so this behavior was extremely out of character. Finally, she decided to text me to see if I knew anything. After I told her that he was with his family, she put it together pretty quick that I had no idea where he was, and she confronted him about it. They got into a massive fight that lasted for hours, and she eventually told him to leave. She didn't really tell me what the fight was about, just that she yelled at him for not telling me. But after talking to him, I've got a hunch. Me and Jane talked for a long time. Both of us were crying by the end of it. I think this whole thing opened up some wounds. She told me their history, a lot of which really surprised me, like how they weren't even really boyfriend and girlfriend and that he's the one who ended it. He'd always given me the impression that it was a bad but ultimately mutual breakup. It was just a really toxic situation for both of them, and it took them a long time to get back to being actual friends afterwards. Which brings me to my conversation with Eric. He showed up a few days after I talked with Jane. I had packed up and left to have friends at that point. He came over to talk. My friend was in the place the whole time. We talked for a while. I asked him 100 questions and he answered 5 of them. He said he was sorry that he can't provide an actual explanation for what he did because he doesn't understand why. I said that wasn't good enough. I needed him to tell me what happened. He said he couldn't because I won't understand. I suggested couples therapy for us. He's been doing it individually since before I met him, but he said he didn't want to. He just wants to forget that it happened. The positive explanation I have is that he had some kind of freak out after we got engaged, or maybe something did happen with his parents and he couldn't talk to me about it, which is fine. I don't necessarily think that if someone is struggling, the first person that they should always go to talk about it is with their partner. I'm totally fine with him going to see Jane if he was freaking out over the prospect of us getting married or if he did hear something about his mom. Obviously, don't fly to another country and lie about it, but that goes without saying. Jane could probably understand that better than I could and would know what to say. But he can't even talk to me about it now, nor is he even making an effort. So how does this bode? He just wants to pretend that everything is fine and normal, and I just can't do that. On top of all that, up until now, he's never been secretive about how he feels or what he's thinking about or his history. He hates talking about it and is touchy about people asking a lot of questions about it. But he's always told me stuff if I ask. I think he was panicking over getting married, or if something actually happened with his mom, he'd tell me. I couldn't help myself and asked if it was because he just doesn't want to talk about the fact that he wants to be with Jane and regrets how he treated her. He denied it, but I think I hit a nerve. He claimed that he doesn't have any leftover feelings for her other than the fact that she's a big what if. She's important to him, but she's the past and I'm the future. This may just be my fear talking, but What if this whole time he's been using me to try to make Jane jealous because he's realized that he lost her, and he went to see her to see if she still wanted him just in case? I think that's what they fought about. I think he went there to see if her because he realized he still wants her, and she's been off living her life without him, no problem. It's bad enough that this is the case, but if I take him back, what if she changes her mind? I don't have a reason to believe that she'll change her mind. She doesn't talk about him the way that I talk about someone I'm romantically interested in. And now that I know their history, I wouldn't want him back either, but who knows? After our conversation, it's obvious he is not 100% certain that he wants to build a life with me, and he's not willing to do what it takes to fix this. I'm not worth the work. He won't even try, and that's basically the big issue for me. I can't build a life with someone who won't put in the effort. So I don't want to be with him. I told him to leave, and he left without a fight. I blocked him on everything. I've talked to Jane a few times since, and they have spoken. She told me that he's probably going to take some time off work and figure stuff out. I hope he can get some help. Plus, I know it sounds utterly bizarre, but I think I've actually gained a friend in her. She's checked in on me multiple times and even helped put me in touch with a new place to live that I just moved into. I'm really tired. It's been a really horrible and busy time. Thanks for the support and the advice. I'm glad I found out now before we started seriously planning, or worse, after we got married or had children. If I find out anything more, I'll update on my profile. If anyone has good advice on how to deal with the embarrassment or good ice cream flavors to get through the pain, though. Story 2. We lost a child. As awful as it is to say, I'm relieved. For some context, I, 28 male, and my wife, Fiona, 25 female, had 2 children, 3 female, and a 8-month-old daughter. We had another one on the way as well. This third child was pretty controversial for us because I didn't want more children. But Fiona kept refusing to be intimate with me unless I wasn't wearing protection, because she wanted more children. But just a few days ago, Fiona started bleeding, and it turns out that she was having a miscarriage. The doctor told us that he was a boy since he was developed enough that they could see his body parts in the ultrasound they did. Fiona is devastated and has been struggling to keep it together. Her family and my family are also crushed, as they were all looking forward to having another nephew, cousin, grandson. But honestly, I'm relieved. I was at the end of my rope and barely was keeping it together knowing that we would have a third child. And I am struggling to parent 2 children as it stands. And the third one would have been the last straw that broke the camel's back. But it's not acceptable to be expressing these kind of feelings to friends and family IRL. By all accounts, I am supposed to be devastated and miserable at the loss of my son. But I'm not. I'm actually at peace with his death because I know how much worse it would have made our family dynamic to have a third child. But I can't say these things. I can't really share how I'm feeling to the people closest to me. And instead, I have to put on this mask and pretend suffering in order to seem like I'm not a complete monster. I'm planning to put my foot down going forward. No more thick boy for Fiona unless she's suffocating in latex. I might even get a vasectomy because I'm confident that I do not want more children, even if Fiona does. I know that getting a vasectomy would make Fiona furious and possibly even depressed, since her dream is to have a large family, and could give me chronic pain for the rest of my life. But I've got to look out for myself too. I believe God gave me a second chance to fix my mistake of having more children against my own wishes, and I'm going to make the most of this second chance. I'm not a good parent or a good partner or even a good person by any stretch, but I'm going to do what I can to be a better person going forward, since an event that seemed to be an emotional death sentence on my life has been lifted. I will no longer have to fear the dissolution of my identity into a servile machine that must dedicate all his waking hours to the care and management of a wife and 3 children. I may yet be partially free. Now for the comments. I've looked at your profile, and while I don't think you're an a-hole for being relieved that you're not going to have a third child, I do think that you should get a divorce. You have literally said that you got married to Fiona because you were too lazy to break up with her. that you're attracted to her sister and best friend, etc. Let this lady go. She deserves more than what you're giving her, and you seem to be fundamentally unhappy in the life that you're living. It's okay for people to grow apart. The things that people want can change. This is normal. Just don't wallow and build resentment when it's frankly unnecessary and will cause more harm than good. I had a vasectomy about a year ago. Aside from the first couple of weeks, there has been no pain or issues. Not sure if chronic pain is as common as you think. A few friends decided to get it after I did as well. They have had no issues either. Just make sure to follow the instructions given. Also, out-of-pocket cost after insurance was less than $100 where I'm at in the U.S. If you don't want more kids, get the vasectomy. My husband scheduled one for the new year, and we found out I got pregnant on birth control again with baby number 4. I'm one of those people who occasionally still ovulates on birth control, which I take religiously because I have endometriosis. He's still getting it, but keeps saying, I put off this vasectomy for over a year now because I'm nervous. Why? In a mostly joking manner, but he's definitely stressed a bit. It is by far the most awkward and intense things I think that I've ever done. Most of the fear that I had was just not knowing exactly what to expect. It's definitely something I would rather have been unconscious for, haha, but it really isn't that bad. 20 minutes in and out. Couple of pinches, weird smells, and too much iodine for sure. Make sure to get a quiet doctor who doesn't make eye contact. Story 3. I found out that my sister was the reason no one made it to my high school graduation. First, I'll clarify that my high school graduation was 6 years ago, and I don't really care much. I was raised in a low middle-class family. Not poor, but money was almost always lacking. And my parents worked very hard so that my sister and I could go to private school. I believe that, given this context, graduating from high school was the least I could do, and it isn't something that deserves a celebration. It was more of a duty. Well, moving on to my high school graduation, it was a disaster. There was a lot of disorganization. Some kids laughed loudly the whole time to ruin it. Several classmates left in the middle of the event, and in the photos, I'm holding a diploma that doesn't even have my name on it. I didn't want to go, and the whole time I just wanted to leave. My parents, my family, arrived at the end when we had to leave. I only got pitiful applause from a few teachers when I walked on stage, and I felt horrible. However, I never blamed my family for that. It was a dumb ceremony, and we lived more than 2 hours away in an area where it was easy to get stuck in traffic, since they told me that's what happened. Well, yesterday was my college graduation. My sister lives in another city and couldn't come. My mom got stressed because we were late. She got mad at me, and while she was scolding me, she yelled, "The same thing happened with your high school graduation. Your sister started arguing with Frank, and we were late." Frank is my sister's ex-boyfriend who lived in our house at the time. Turns out that all along, that was the reason. It's not hard for me to imagine it happening because my sister and Frank used to argue a lot, although they lasted 4 years together. But they couldn't handle it one day for my graduation? Did they have to start at the exact moment that they were going to leave the house for my ceremony? The 3 of them agreed to lie to me 6 years ago and moved on. I didn't say anything, I let it go, and we went to the ceremony. Although on the other hand, my mother's memory is very deteriorated and she often mixes dates and events. Should I ask my sister about it, or should I just let it go and forget? Like I said, I feel like graduating from high school wasn't a big deal, and I don't want to make a fuss over something so stupid. But to this day, I remember how alone I felt walking on stage with no one to support me, and I feel horrible. I felt very alone and unwanted, almost like crying on the stage. Now for the comments. Nah, she remembers that, or she wouldn't have said anything. Your sister and her ex are a-holes, though. It's not something so stupid, and your feelings are valid. I don't get why they didn't just leave if she's notorious for making them late. Just be like, we have to leave now. I'm getting in the car, and if you're not there in 2 minutes, I'm leaving without you. I don't know if you should waste your breath asking her about it, though. She'll just get defensive, lie about it, or get pissy about it. You can't win with these kinds of people. I wouldn't waste the energy. No issue calling them out, even though They'll be defensive about that too, but no point asking about it because they'll either just keep lying or be crappy about it, and you won't get the answers you want. I know this type of person. It's never their fault, according to them, and they turn it around on you for making an issue about it. Ugh. My relationship with my sister wasn't very good at the time. We barely talked, and we were almost like strangers, although I don't think she did this on purpose. Now we're in a place where we love each other very much, and I consider her my best friend. That year wasn't very good for her, and I don't want to bring up memories that may be painful for her by asking, aside from her toxic relationship with Frank. However, I feel like I deserve an explanation, at least from her point of view, so I'm a bit conflicted. That's all for today. If you're enjoying this story, please like the video and share your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you.